All right. This is the 50th episode of the Running My Mouth podcast. I am your very jubilant host, Erin, and allow me to run my mouth for a little bit. First of all, 50 episodes is pretty crazy. I don't know if I really expected for this podcast to last this long, especially considering my last podcast lasted, I think, only 23 episodes, but here we are, 50 episodes of the Running My Mouth podcast. And I said last episode I didn't have a special episode or a surprise or anything like that, but I guess it's sort of a surprise, but I have new graphics for the podcast that I made a couple of weeks ago, actually. And I'm not gonna lie, when I first made the graphics for this podcast, I knew the general idea of what I wanted it to look like. And on the one hand, they sort of grew on me. But on the other hand, I feel like they're just kind of plain and boring. And I kind of don't like them. And I'll probably end up feeling that way about these new graphics that I've made. So maybe on the 100th episode of this podcast, if we get there, I think we'll get there. We got to 50. I think we'll get to 100. Maybe I'll have new graphics. Who knows? Or maybe I'll go back to my old ones. Or maybe there won't be any new graphics and you're going to be like, Erin, what are you talking about? It looks the same as it always does. But, things can happen. But yeah, that is my 50th episode surprise. Is new graphics. And that's pretty much it. Anywho, I got a nice long list of topics for this episode, and they are mostly movie and TV related because I have not been to any shows in the past 2 weeks, I don't think. I'm pretty sure I haven't. The last week has been hectic, work-wise, so I kind of haven't really been wanting to do, anything, as weird as that sounds. But yeah, there is a nice upcoming slate of shows, especially this next week. I might have some gaps in my calendar because, like I said, my last at least 1 week has been very hectic work-wise, so I haven't been able to, I guess, kind of pay attention and add stuff to my calendar that needs to be there. So, but whenever I say the upcoming shows, I might be missing some. And if I do, I am sorry. I'm not doing it on purpose. But I do have a couple of music-related topics to talk about very briefly. So first one is the band MSPAINT out of Hattiesburg. They released an EP called No Separation, and I'm going to tell you when it came out. Isn't it so fun that now I'm on my computer and I can just look stuff up? And you can hear my loud keyboard. When did this? It came out recently, May 23rd, which is 2 months ago. So it's recent to me, okay? And I have listened to it, and I do like it. I very unfortunately missed MS Paint the last time they came to Jackson. In fact, I can probably also look this up because it's on my calendar. Let's see. When was the last time? Never mind. It was not on my calendar. Okay. I think it was in 2023. They were here with, I know Year of the Vulture was supporting them. And I did not go to that show, and I can't remember why I didn't go. I don't even think I was busy. Kind of a shame because, from what I've seen, it's a pretty good band. And from what I've heard, pretty good band. But they also are kind of getting some notoriety in the greater music world. I know there was a profile that was done in a publication that I can't remember the name of. Oopsie doopsie. But something that really gagged me is that this is going to take some preamble, so excusez-moi, but I've been watching this YouTube channel called Internet Today since its creation. I want to say maybe in 2017 or something like that, maybe 2016. It's been a while, but I've been watching the two hosts of it, Ricky and Elliot, since they were in Machinima ETC, and that had to be since 2013 or 2014, because I was a huge Machinima fan back in the day. Loved the main channel, loved Machinima Respawn, loved ETC, loved Inside Gaming, loved all of it. Was very devastated when, it got bought out by Warner Brothers, and they wiped the entire library of videos. So like all of the classic machinimas from back to like, I don't even know how far back that would have gone, is just gone. I don't even know why they did that, because it couldn't have been costing. Well, okay, I don't really know, because I do know that back in the day, Machinima was known for like doing a lot of bad contracts with creators. And so I don't know if, certain creators were still getting royalties off of some of these videos, but I mean, in my mind, it really didn't make any sense for them to wipe everything except for Inside Gaming. Inside Gaming, well, I don't know if the channel itself is like being updated, but I do know that the people who are on that were able to acquire the channel and all the videos. So theirs is still around, to my understanding, but also I think that got absorbed into Rooster Teeth, which also folded, but is also like back. So like, I don't know, actually. But yeah, after, Warner Brothers shuttered Machinima, they deleted all the videos, including some of the ETC videos, which I think they were able to get back a lot of them. Maybe not all of them, but I do know there's like a Machinima ETC like archive channel out there somewhere. And there used to be like a lot more hosts on that channel, but the ones that have kind of continued on to doing, carrying on what ETC used to do, Ricky and Elliot. And Ricky is a guy who's from Florida. He used to be a roadie for some band. I can't remember. He talked about it on like a few different episodes. But he's like a real like punk kid, He's an OG punk. And, throughout all of their episodes, you'll see that they kind of cycle through the same few shirts, but there are a few that get added to the rotation. And I took a screenshot of this, so I'm going to try to find it. Where is it? Oh, I just went past it. Go back down. What date was this? Will it tell me? Hold on. What date was it? June 28th. This was the last week of June. So a couple of weeks ago, I saw, and I know this is like, I could literally just edit the picture in, but I'm not going to do this. But look what I saw. Hold on, let me unplug this. Look what I saw. Come on, focus. There we go. And there's Ricky on the right. I know my left from my right. Wearing an MSPAINT shirt. And these guys are like in California, literally literally across the country. And I just think it's so great that, a band from Mississippi is getting this kind of notoriety. And, they're not from Jackson, but I don't particularly care about that. I don't know if there's any like competition between the scenes. I don't think there is. I mean, there really shouldn't be. Like the state of Mississippi, the music scene in Mississippi really is not big enough for there to be like that kind of competition between the scenes. But I just thought that was really nice. And, I don't know. I do want MS Paint to come back to Jackson at some point, but I don't know. They might be too big money for us. And also, I'm not going to lie, I do have a show coming up, but I think my booking days might be behind me, very unfortunately. But there's really not much to that. I like booking. I find it to be rewarding, but it's also, I just don't think I'm like built for it. Really, as simply as I can put it, I just don't think I'm built for it, and that's okay. I think that's okay. There's a lot of other people doing it a lot better than I am and a lot more frequently than I am, and I don't think anything will be lost if I stop booking shows. So yeah, that's on that. I had a few good shows. Actually, no, I think all the shows that I booked were pretty good. Yeah, I had a lot of good shows. I think my favorite was the Careful Gaze one back in, November. So, if they reach back out, I wouldn't say no to them because, of course, I want them to come back. I feel like it'll be a very once in a while type of thing. I don't really want to kind of overload myself with it. And I know, to some people that book shows, booking is like really easy, but there's also just like a certain social aspect to it that I kind of lack, in my opinion. So all that aside, I like MS Paint and I like the people in MS Paint. Dee is a really cool person. I've booked his band. Why am I blanking on it? That's so crazy. I've booked a different band that he's in. God. Okay, hold on. We're gonna get to the bottom of this. Listen, I woke up from a nap like 45 minutes ago, so perhaps my brain is a bit foggy. Why can't I think of it? This is crazy. I booked Dee Dee's other band at least once before. Yes, one time before, and he's a really cool guy. And so are the other people in the band that I can't think of right now. That's so freaking crazy. Hold on. I'm not letting this go. Name a more iconic duo. Me and forgetting the names of people and bands and just like everything. You know? Hold on. I'm about to, I'm gonna tell you the name of the band. Just give me a second. Hold up. Come on. Scroll. Ooh, this was a bit far back. Hold on. What? Oh, here we go. Skin Man. Is it warm in here? I don't know why I'm asking you, because you're not in here, but it feels hot in here. I'm not even gonna lie. You know, the lack of ceiling fans in this apartment is kind of crazy. I do have one in my living room, but it literally does not work. So I don't know why I feel hot. Like I said, I woke up from a nap like 45 minutes ago, so I don't know. Anyways, we're gonna move on. I like MSPAINT, and I like that a Mississippi band is getting such a wide reach. They are very deserving of it, and there are a lot of other bands in our scene that are also very deserving of it, and I wish success upon each and every one of them. Success upon thee. Anyway, another band, not from Mississippi, but I feel like there's enough crossover with the members that I feel like we can just kind of claim them. I'm claiming them as a Mississippi band, even though they are, you know, from literally every bio that I've read, a New York band. But False Gods, as I'm recording this, which it is Sunday the 13th, it has not come out yet, but it will be out by the time this episode is out on the 16th, because it's coming out on the 15th. They have a new album coming out, and I'm not gonna lie, I have forgotten the name of the album. Hold on. They have, let me see. They have pre-orders. False Gods. There we go. Nope, False Gods band. They have pre-orders for like CDs, and I do want a CD actually. Let me see. Oh my god, Accept Necessary Only. Gosh. Lost in Darkness and Distance. That is the name of their forthcoming. Is this an LP or an EP? Well, it's 7 tracks, but I feel like the tracks are pretty long. So I think this is a full length. Yeah, that is the name of their upcoming album. There are 3 singles off of it that are out right now, and I will look them up. And I feel like if you like doomy metal, but like with a hint of like some hardcore elements, then you're gonna love False Gods. I took pictures of them when they opened for I Hate God back in, I can't remember when that show was. It was some months ago. Like I said, I woke up from a nap like 45 minutes ago. Please give me some slack here. So let me see. What was Suffering a Strange Land? I believe that was the first single that came out, and then Imposter, and then the latest single, Enemy That Never Was, that came out July 9th, which was last Wednesday. Those are the 3 singles that are out. I like the singles. I can't wait for the album. I think I will buy a CD. It's only $12 on Bandcamp, and now that I have a way to play CDs, you know, aside from my car, I think I will buy one. Not like right now, but I wish they had tapes. I don't know why. I just love a tape. Like, they're just so, I don't know. I really like a tape. Although I know that I don't know. I think tapes degrade over time, and I think CDs have a little bit more longevity and better audio quality as well. So I think I try to, you know, aside from my vinyls, because I mean, every vinyl that I have, I've bought it either online. I think I only have one that I bought in person, and that was my Weightless signed vinyl. But I do try to limit my physical media buying to in person at shows, but there have been some releases that I've wanted, and it's like, you know, like there is a, let me think, it's a Palestine relief or benefit tape being produced in Hattiesburg, and I don't think they ship though, which is, you know, I think they're only being sold out of like a specific store And let me find it because it's like pretty much every Hattiesburg band has contributed to it, which is why I want it. Let me see. DIY, is it Hattiesburg? Or it's not that one. Hold on. Hattiesburg. I'm looking them up on Instagram. Here it is, hattiesburg.alt. Where is this? I saw a post for this. Was it on this account or was it not, actually? Okay, I can't quite remember what account had made and posted this. How the heck did I even see it then? Hold on. So, okay, I don't know who produced it, but there was a Palestinian relief tape that was made featuring pretty much every Hattiesburg band, including many that I like. And I really want one, but I don't think they're gonna ship. And I can't even find the post, so much for that. But if you are perhaps more smarter than I, you can find that tape. Hold on. I'm gonna look it up. I'm looking up so much stuff this episode, but I feel like all of this is like relevant. So like, give me a minute. Hold on. What would it be called? Okay, Palestinian relief tape Hattiesburg. Okay, that's from 2024. Dang. I know I didn't imagine this. Oh my gosh, okay. I don't know where this like post went or even who posted it or where hold on, actually. Let me go back. Maybe it was Hattiesburg World DIY, now I think about it. Hold up. Okay, no, it wasn't. Never mind. Gosh darn it. Okay. Hold on. Was it this account? I don't think so. No. Was it this account? No. Okay, I have no freaking clue. Like, at all. I didn't imagine it. It does exist, and the tape is currently for sale, and it goes to relief for Palestinians during the genocide. So, good tape for a good cause, a lot of good music on it, and, you know, I know this because the bands on it make good music. Gosh, I really wish I could freaking find this. Oh my, I really shouldn't sit down and start recording 45 minutes after I wake up from a nap in the middle of the day. I don't know whose idea that was. Mine, apparently. Anyway, all that to say, New False Gods is on the way. It should be out by the time this episode is out, and I think I will buy a compact disc. Anywho, moving on. Continuing with the new music, Erra released a new single, sort of out of nowhere. And also, I feel like the deluxe edition for Cure... Wait, was there a deluxe edition for Cure? Actually, I don't know. Am I just yapping? No, there wasn't a deluxe edition for Cure. Never mind. Either way, I feel like Cure just came out. And it did, because it came out last year. When was this? Last April. So it's been about a year since it's been out, and they're already releasing new music. I don't know if this is going to be on, you know, a deluxe edition for Cure. But either way, it's called Gore of Being, and I do like it. I don't know if it's going to be like another standalone single, kind of like Pull from the Ghost, which was a piece of music that I also liked. In fact, I have the shirt for that, but I literally don't know where it went. I feel like I have so many band shirts that just got lost in the drawer void. I really need to find that shirt. That was a really nice shirt. Anyways, they have a new single out. Don't know if it's going to be... Which I feel like, you know, Erra, they're regional. I can talk about them. I can also talk about whatever I want because this is my podcast. Anywho, this rain is, like, so loud for no reason. Like, it's slapping against the side of this building. Just, like... Anyways, I don't even know if it's picking up on the microphone. I can't tell. But for whatever reason, it's louder now than it was, like, 15 minutes ago. Erra put out a new single. It's nice. I'm wondering if there is a deluxe edition or if it's just a standalone or if, I don't know, something crazy like a new album. Could you imagine? That's a lot. I don't think they've been touring much recently. The Cure tour ended some time ago because I went to it last year. It's a good show too. That was a lot of fun. Up in Birmingham. So that, at least I thought that was. Okay, no, I did have one more thing I wanted to talk about. So my I don't know why it just tickles me whenever I say my good Judies, but it does. But my good Judies and Periphery are going on tour again, but they're not headlining. They're supporting Spirit Box, and they are coming nowhere near me, so I can't even go, so it doesn't even matter. But something that I realized, I was sort of holding out hope for a Juggernaut, 10th anniversary tour this year, because Juggernaut came out in 2015, and I love those two albums with my whole entire heart. However, considering, well, okay, I don't know. I mean, I think it would have been feasible, maybe for like a few nights type of thing. Like, listen, if I had to buy a plane ticket to like DC or Baltimore or wherever they're from, somewhere up in that DMV area, if I had to buy a plane ticket to see a one night only show for them to play these two albums in full, I would have canceled all my plans. I would have taken time off work. I would have bought that plane ticket and a hotel room, and I would have gone, okay? Honestly, at this point in my life, at my big age, knowing that I can just fly out wherever, whenever, well, okay, I can't really fly out wherever, whenever. I don't have a passport. I mean, I have one, but it's like from when I was 12, so I think it might be expired just like a little bit. So, either way, in the United States, I can fly wherever I want, pretty much whenever. I have the monies. I'm not exactly stacked, and perhaps I do make unwise financial decisions from time to time, but usually I have the money. So it's like, the location at this point isn't really the issue. It's just, are you gonna do it? I was holding out hope for Everchanger, in full concert series tour. I don't know why the word tour just escaped my brain. That never ended up happening, even though Ben English teased coming back with something, but I don't even know what happened with that. So I don't know. I don't know what happened with that. When did Still World come out? I wouldn't mind in full, because I really do like Still World. It's a great album. When did this come out? 2016. So okay, next year, okay, that was a lot. Next year, we could get a Still World 10th anniversary tour. Maybe. We could get a Periphery 3 10th anniversary tour. I am not holding my breath for either. I'm not even gonna lie. Is the era of the anniversary in full tour over? Because they were happening a lot, like in the last couple of years, I don't know. Maybe I'm just not paying attention to big tours anymore, but I feel like they've died down a little bit. Maybe. I don't know. I still think they should happen because I love an album in full tour, but only when you play the album in its actual order. It's so perplexing to me that they played Let's Cheers to This out of order. That was so weird to me. I didn't get that one bit. It was honestly somewhat off-putting, but I've talked about that in a previous episode, so we don't need to relitigate it. But if you're in a band, or if you're like, I don't know, a tour manager or whoever is in charge of these decisions, and you're watching this episode, and you want to plan an anniversary tour and you want to play your album in full, play it in order, please, for the love of God. Okay, I can't speak for most people. Really, I can only speak for myself, so I don't even know. Maybe people do listen to albums on shuffle. That's crazy to me. That is honestly so wild and wacky to me, listening to an album on shuffle. That's so crazy to me. Ooh, something's dark-sided about that. I'm not even gonna lie. If you listen to albums on shuffle, that's a little bit dark-sided, and I don't know if that's weird. That's odd and strange. I'm just putting it out there. But if you are in a band or a tour manager or someone who is in charge of such things, please just play the album in order. I'm begging you. I'm on my hands and knees. Please. I'm whatever it takes. Just play it in order. Anywho, yeah. Am I going to see Erra on this new tour where they are supporting Spirit Box? No, because like I said, they're not coming anywhere near me. And also, I think this tour is like in November and December. Hold on. I'm sorry I'm looking things up so frequently. But I am. Let's see. Not that one. This one. Okay, that's not it either. Why can't... Oh my god. Is it this one? Nope, that's not it either. That's Architects. Go back. Go back. Go back again. Here we go. Oh my god. Tour poster and comments, and the top comment is not the tour poster. This is so dark-sided. Okay. Here it is. Yeah, November 12th is when it starts, and December 7th is where it ends. I got, Canada, Nevada, New Mexico, Texas, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Nebraska. I forgot what any was for a second. Where am I? Missouri, Tennessee, but not Memphis. It's Nashville. If it was Memphis, I would have been like, maybe I will go on booking.com, booking.yeah, and figure something out, but no. it's Nashville, which is like on the other side of this. Well, actually, hold on. No, Nashville is like in the middle, but it's still too far for me to drive. I don't feel like driving that far. Ohio, 2 in Ohio. Ohio gets 2. They get Cincinnati and Columbus. What? Why? Okay, anyway. New York, Michigan, North Carolina, Virginia, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Connecticut. So the farthest south that they go appears to be Memphis. Unless, I don't know. Well, there's no South Carolina. So I was going to say South Carolina more south than Memphis, but no, not Memphis. Tennessee, it's not. I don't think. So yeah, I don't know if they're going to do like a second leg type of thing. But usually I feel like when bands do like a second leg of a tour, they'll also have like different support. Which I have nothing to corroborate this with, but I feel like that's what happens. I'm going off of vibes here. However, if they do have, a second leg where they go to the lower half of the United States, that would be cool. I wouldn't mind seeing Spirit Box. I mean, I like a couple of their songs. Of course, I would be going mainly just to see Periphery if they did continue with them in this hypothetical second leg. But yeah, I'm still kicking myself in the butt for not seeing Periphery or Under Oath, by the way, because that's who they were supporting in Arkansas when I could have, but that goddamn tornado. To my credit, they could have canceled the show. They didn't, but they could have. So, and also I would have had to drive through the Delta, through the toe-up Delta, because I'm trying to remember. Okay, no, that wasn't that particular tornado, but like the Mississippi Delta and like part of Arkansas got like kind of beat up by tornadoes that day, the previous day. So maybe it was for the best. Anywho, that will conclude my music-related topics for this episode. And with that are upcoming shows here in Jackson. So again, I could be wrong. I just really haven't been updating my calendar all that much. I have some stuff, but I don't have everything. Sorry. So, the next show that I have is on Friday the 18th. We have Die With Nature, The Narrows, and The Midnight Papers at Urban Foxes at 7 o'clock. And God. And then the week of the 20th has a lot of shows, in my opinion. So the biggin, I think, in my opinion, next Sunday, the 20th, Gideon at Hallowmals with Face Rot and Crypt Eater. And that one's going to be fun. I feel like I never show up to shows like early, but I feel like this one is one where I'm going to have to get here early. I feel like this is going to be one that potentially people are going to be coming from out of town for. Because like, aside from, the usual folks coming from Vicksburg or Hattiesburg, or maybe Starkville, because I feel like Starkville is a little bit farther away. People don't usually come out of town for Jackson shows, I don't think. Like, I forget names like nobody's business, but I remember faces very well. And I feel like, I recognize some of the same faces, kind of like with the I Hate God show that I was, talking about in that episode when I was talking about that. I usually recognize the same few people that come to shows. There were a lot of new faces at that show. I think people came out of town for that one, just from, the greater, like outside of the metro, and I think people are going to come from out of town to see Gideon. And I'm glad it's at a place like Halamel's, not the freaking Brandon Amphitheater, because Lord knows I don't want to drive to Brandon. It's not because it's like far, it's because it's Brandon. In fact, there was a story. Okay, I think I've talked about this on the pod, but the vibes are off in Brandon. I'm just gonna put it out there. I've gone to Brandon like literally a couple, and by a couple I mean 2 times, with coworkers for like, after work drinkaroos. But both times the vibes were off, and I did not like it either time, and I just can't go there anymore. And I feel like I'm justified in feeling this because there was a story recently where there is, let's see, in downtown Brandon, there is a big statue right smack dab in the middle of a quite busy road. I did not know what it was a statue of. It's just a statue of a dude, but, given that this is Mississippi, you can freaking guess it's a Confederate statue, and there is some debate. There's debate as to whether or not the statue should remain. And it's like, no, it shouldn't remain. Like, why are you erecting statues celebrating losers? Like, these are statues of the people that caused these, all of these cities in the South to burn down, pretty much. So it's like, why would you even celebrate that? They lost. They didn't even do a good job. They didn't even do a good job. They lost. So like, why celebrate a bunch of losers? I don't know. But some, copy paper colored folks felt really strongly about, keeping that one particular statue there. And it's like, okay. And that, my friends, is why the vibes are off in Brandon, and I don't want to go there, especially not after dark, because I might not come home. So, you might not catch me at the Brandon Amphitheater, because, who knows if it's safe? Who knows if it's safe? Either way, I sure am glad Gideon is coming to Jackson. I can't remember if I talked about this, but one of the members is from Jackson. So, I remember seeing on the post that people were like, there's a lot of question marks as to why, this band would come to this city. But, it does make sense. And also, Jackson is a great place for heavy music. So why not? Why not? And the supporting bands are also fantastic, and I'm very excited for it. And then the very next day, we have a show that I booked. Jen Taiga, Filth Eternal, and Gravemember. It's going to be very great. It's a dungeon synth show / regular synth show at CS's. So there will be vibes, there will be burgers, there will be good times to be had, and it will probably be the last show that I booked for a while. I'm not even gonna lie. This next one was recently updated, so let me find the post because I want to be accurate. Let me find it. Where is it? Is this it? That's not it. Yes, it is. Okay. So we have Spy, Gull, Drim, and Face Rot at Sunflower Oven. It got moved from the plant. It's at the Sunflower Oven now at 6 o'clock on Tuesday. And I will say, listen, I get it. Weekday night shows, it's kind of a lot, especially for a 4-band bill. But considering these are hardcore bands, the sets, they're not going to be that long. I'm just going to say that. The sets aren't going to be that long. So, you're not going to have to worry about being there past like 10 o'clock. Actually, maybe it'll end like right at 10 o'clock. To be completely honest, I don't know. But that's coming up on the 22nd. And then on the 25th, we have a benefit show for the Animal Rescue Fund. I'm pretty sure this is the one with Indole Raven Weather, That Which Waits Beyond Sleep, and The Sky Imposed Its Will. That's at Urban Foxes. It is pay what you can, or they're accepting donations of unopened cat and dog food. I had to remember these details. And then, let's see, that's next week. Let's go into the final week. The 27th, we have Hopeless Otis, Eyes Like Yours, and Die With Nature at Howlin' Mouse at 6 o'clock. And then, same day, we have Kaleidoscope Crux, the Akashic 45s, and Parrot Weather at 6 o'clock at Urban Foxes. And the Akashic 45s commented on my last episode where I mentioned them. They are working on a new album. I don't know when it's going to come out. I don't think they've announced it yet, so we'll see. So yes, that is that on that. Now, since moving, I have gotten a okay, it's not brand new. It's my parents' old TV from their bedroom. It's new to me, though. I've gotten a new to me television, and I've been watching a lot of television, and I want to talk about the television that I've been watching, and the movies. So, starting out, I wanted to rewatch Mr. Robot because it's free on Tubi, because recently it's been taking off of Amazon Prime, where it has been for the longest time. Now it's on Netflix as well. If you don't want to watch it on Tubi for, whatever reason. I mean, the ad breaks on Tubi aren't even that bad, to be completely honest. They're worse on Hulu, I feel like. And, I was trying really hard to, route in, an ad blocker. I mean, there is still a way, but I think it would require me buying and, programming a Raspberry Pi. And I don't know if I want to go that far. I'm not even going to lie. I mean, considering, Chrome is ending their support of uBlock Origin, which, because I have my ways and my means, it still works for me. But it probably, I'm probably going to have to switch to Firefox at some point, even though I've been using Chrome for over 10 years at this point. I mean, we'll see. We will see. We certainly shall see how all of that works out, but either way, yeah, all of the stuff that I watch on my TV has ads on it, except for HBO Max, which is now actually called HBO Max again. And Paramount Plus, I don't get ads on. And maybe some other stuff. But yeah, it's just, those are the plans that I have. And Paramount. I mean, Peacock. Actually, I don't know if Peacock has ads, now I think about it. I've watched literally one thing on Peacock, weeks ago, so I can't even remember. Oh wait, no. I did watch a movie on there, and it did have ads, and it did make me mad, but I was like, I don't think I'm gonna go the Raspberry Pi route, because that just feels a little involved for me. But who knows, I might. I really don't like having ads, and it would be network-wide instead of, just on my TV or something. But anyways, I'm going way off topic here. It does feel hot in here. Man, that's crazy. I don't know what that's all about. I really wish I had a ceiling fan in here. I really wish I had a ceiling fan anywhere. A functioning one. But alas, I'm suffering. Anyway, I started rewatching Mr. Robot on Tubi because it's there for free. And this is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, scripted show of all time. Scripted drama of all time. But I will say, season 1 of Mr. Robot is almost perfect. Honestly, I would say it is perfect. Aside from the pilot episode is easily the weakest episode, I would say, in season 1. I'm not really sure about 2 and 3 or 4, but definitely in season 1. God, why does my ear itch? I don't know. Season 1, I feel is so great with the pacing and the just overall story arc. It's amazing. Season 2, I'm not gonna lie, I've rewatched season 2 a couple of times, and I just feel the pacing in it is just kind of off. I don't know what it is about it, and I'm warning you right now, I'm about to do spoilers for pretty much everything that I'm about to talk about. So if you don't want spoilers for Mr. Robot or this latest season of Drag Race All Stars or the 1984 movie Amadeus or The Bear, turn back now because I will talk about all of them. Yeah, I'm going to talk about all of them with spoilers. So this is your warning. If you don't want to be spoiled, then don't be. But, there is the whole thing in season 2 where, they don't reveal that Elliot is in jail up until, a certain point. And you would think that would come at the end of the season, but it doesn't. It keeps going after that point, which is crazy because I feel like you have that whole arc and then you have like another arc. And I did kind of stop watching before that reveal because I just felt like the pacing is so off on it. Like there are some, I don't know, I just feel like story-wise the pacing is kind of off for season 2, but it's been a while since I've watched season 3 or 4, and I think I've only seen season 4 once, and that is when it originally aired. So I don't know. And also I've taken a break because I've been watching The Bear, but I'm not about to talk about The Bear next. I'm about to talk about, okay, going back to Mr. Robot, I think it's a great show. If you haven't seen it, you should. Even though the pacing is a little whack in season 2, it's still really great that season. I like it a lot anyways. Because, it introduces the FBI and all of that, and I don't know, season 2, it's not the best, but it has its high points, and, I've said this, well, actually, I don't know if I said this on this podcast, but I've said this before in various other places, and I will say it again. I feel like Mr. Robot, well, okay, I won't say they were hamstrung by their network, but I feel like it could have gotten a lot more notoriety if it was on a network other than like USA, which, when I think of USA, I think of marathons of Law and Order SVU, not exactly, great original television. But it did hit like once back in 2015. Oh my goodness. And it's been 10 years since this series like first aired. It aired in June, like sometime in June in 2015, which man, that is really crazy to think about. I didn't watch Mr. Robot when it aired. I think when I first saw it, season 2 had just ended. Yeah, when I first saw it, season 2 had just ended. So I feel like that would have been maybe 2016 or 2017 because I watched the final 2 seasons when I was in college, which, yes, was a while ago, apparently. Oh, man. Yeah, that was a while ago, I guess. I'm old. I'm turning 26 in, 2 months, if that? About to be off my parents' insurance, just out here, But not to dwell on that too much. What was I even talking about? Oh, the fact that it was on USA and the fact that there was a lot of time between season 2 and season 3 and season 3 and season 4. Because I feel like, it's kind of getting the Stranger Things treatment where it's like there has been a lot of time. And I know part of the reason why there's been a lot of time between these, I think, last 2 seasons of Stranger Things is number 1, COVID. So, like, that kind of wrecked everything. And number 2, the writer's strike. And I guess subsequently the actor's strike. So that kind of had a lot to do with it. But there were no pandemics and there were no strikes happening back then. So, actually, I don't know. I think when I was in college, the Writers Guild was, like, threatening to strike. But they hadn't actually done it. Because I remember talking about it with my phone professor back then. So, I don't know. But, I feel like that also kind of affects, viewership drop off because there was some viewership drop off. I remember because I was in the Mr. Robot subreddit, in like the live threads during the episodes, which that was a fun experience watching something live with like a group. Well, I mean, not, with a group of people like around you, but just like in an online community. That's fun. I need to get into more TV to experience that. But anywho, I feel like if Mr. Robot was on like maybe, I don't know, even AMC, because I feel like, let's see, when did Breaking Bad end? And also, I think, when did it end? 2013. And then there was, The Walking Dead was on Breaking Bad. What? The Walking Dead was on AMC. The Walking Dead was on AMC. Um, so I feel like AMC would have been a good network for it. But also, you shop these what do you call them, pilots around to various networks, and they say no for one reason or another. So I highly doubt that USA was Sam Ismail's like first choice for it. I don't know. Maybe it was. I know not what happens in that man's brain because I'm not him. But to me, I feel like USA would not have been a first choice. Or even something like HBO, which I don't think, HBO could have given it the budget and like the audience, but I don't really think, Mr. Robot needed a bigger budget than it already had. I just felt like it needed some notoriety and some like good marketing, which I don't really think it got. I feel like most of Mr. Robot's marketing was very word of mouth. I mean, it did win an Emmy for, I think, Best Lead Actor for Rami Malek. And maybe something else, but it could have gotten more. I don't know. Maybe I'm forgetting stuff. Like I said, this show first aired 10 years ago, and watching it 10 years later is kind of crazy too, especially dealing with, the subject matter, which is, going in and deleting everyone's debt and doing it successfully, but also, the ramifications of that happening being more than I think, the people of F Society had anticipated. And I think it being set in 2015, because the show for the most part is set in like 2015 and maybe a little bit of 2016 as well. Cause like I don't know. I mean, I feel like there's a lot more that could go on with a Mr. Robot set in like, 2025, because now we have stuff like AI, like, back then Bitcoin wasn't worth a whole lot, and it was still around, and it was pretty much the only cryptocurrency, but like, a bunch of other stuff with like crypto scams and NFTs, and like a lot could have been, integrated into the show that exists now that did not exist back then. But I feel like setting it in 2015 is kind of, the perfect time setting, because now, I don't know, I feel like we're living in bizarro world now, and having a show like Mr. Robot set in like 2025, I don't know. I mean, I don't doubt that they could execute it well, but it's just like, I don't know if I would want it to be set in 2025, to be completely honest. Things have kind of gone off the rails, like, wow. And anyways, yeah, what a great series. And I do really need to, finish season 2 and finish the series because it's good. But I've been watching other things. One of those things being Drag Race. I have been really into this season of All Stars, and usually I don't watch because, it's on Paramount Plus. But now I have a Paramount Plus login because I'm freeloading off my parents' cable subscription, which my parents having a cable subscription is like the best thing that has happened to me because I'm streaming so much. I'm watching so many things. The only thing I don't really have is Amazon Prime, which I have no desire to get Amazon Prime because number one, I don't buy things often enough to necessitate Amazon Prime. And number two, getting it just for, streaming feels like a lot of money. I had it when I was in college because, they had the college discount, but like I wasn't even watching stuff on Amazon Prime back then. So it's like, I mean, their library when I was in college was kind of whack. They had like 1 or 2 good shows, but like that was it. 1 or 2 good originals, but like not much else. And also I feel like a lot of the stuff that comes out of Amazon Studios also goes to the theaters. So I don't know. I've seen like not a lot. I've seen a few Amazon Studios movies like in the theater. So it's like, what is the point? Anyway. And I also don't have Apple TV Plus because why would I pay for that? I'm not paying for that. The only streaming services I actually pay for are Netflix that I don't even use, which is crazy. And And also, I guess technically Spotify, that's a streaming service, but that's music. But also through Spotify, I get Hulu. So yeah, those are the only 3 things that I'm paying for, but I'm getting everything else through my parents. And my dad is constantly talking about, oh, we need to cancel cable. But it's like, I actually use this stuff, and so does my mom. So it's like, why would you do this to us, Father? Anyways, I've been watching this last season of Drag Race, and I really like this format. I think also the cast is part of it. I really like this cast of Drag Race. This is like some of my faves from, those seasons. But like having the brackets, I feel like is like, new and innovative. Because I feel like, things can get kind of stale with Drag Race, and it really is, sometimes it's the format, but sometimes it's also the cast. Like this last main series or main season of Drag Race, the main series of Drag Race, I just couldn't get into it for whatever reason. Like, I don't know, I just like didn't really vibe with the cast all that much. But this time, it's like they gathered all the biggest personalities and put them on one season, and it's like, this is good television. This is good television. I will say I haven't watched the latest episode because my mom's been visiting, so I haven't really been, just watching TV this week. But I will say I like how it's going. I like this season. And also apparently there's only a few episodes left because now there's like a lip sync Lollapalooza coming up. And I feel like, there's people watching that don't watch Drag Race. So you probably don't have anything. You don't know what I'm talking about like at all. So sorry, oopsie. But basically, it's like what do you call it? It's like a lip sync bracket, which I'm not gonna lie, I don't like lip sync Lollapaloozas. I don't find them interesting. I'm just gonna say it. Like, I find them kind of boring. Like, the lip syncs are like my least favorite part of the episode. I mean, we've gotten some good lip syncs these past couple of seasons, but like, I don't know, they just don't feel like much to write home about, in my opinion. Others may disagree with me, and you can feel free to, but I'm just not into it, That's all I'm saying. Anyway, in conclusion, I like this new season of Drag Race All Stars, and I'm really interested to see who's gonna win. It's probably gonna be Ginger Minj, which, I mean, that's fine, but she's been on Drag Race like 4 times now. Also, I feel like this is something that I don't know. I'm not really reading much about it like on subreddits or anything like that, but like, how much time passed between the brackets and like all of them coming back together for both Ginger Minj and Mistress to have lost like a significant amount of weight in the time that has passed, Because like, did they record this over the course of like a year? Because like, that's crazy. I don't know how much time passed, and I don't know, I think, from what I've heard from Rue Girls, the, filming schedule of Drag Race, it pretty much happens within the course of, let's see, maybe 2 months, something like that, for like a main season type of thing, main series season type of thing. But I don't know, like, did they shoot this in like 2 years? 1 year, 2 years, something like that. I don't know. Like, a lot of time must have passed between the brackets and like when they all come back together, because that was a lot, I don't know, maybe someone has talked about it somewhere and I just haven't seen it, but yeah, that was kind of interesting. Moving on. Speaking of rewatching things, I don't have it in here. I have it in my living room, my Amadeus poster I'm talking about, and guess what? It's crooked. But you want to know something? It was crooked in my old apartment too. And I don't feel like taking it down and trying to put it back up because I rolled it up the wrong way. So it kind of curls to the outside, which I don't think you're supposed to do that, but I could not remember how it was rolled up initially. So, but anyways, my Amadeus poster, it is the is it the crown jewel of my apartment? I don't think so. It's not even really the centerpiece. It is the crooked crown jewel of my apartment. And I decided, like last week, that I wanted to watch it again because I haven't actually seen the movie in quite some time. And I found out that it is on. What was it on, actually? Was it Tubi again? No. I don't know. It was on some streaming service, but it was the original theatrical cut. So I had only seen the director's cut of Amadeus, which is about 3 hours long. The theatrical cut is, I want to say, like 2:48, something like that. So there were about 15-ish minutes added to the director's cut. And watching the theatrical cut, I mean, it's okay. And I feel like the main gripe that people have with the director's cut is that there is a scene, again, spoilers for this movie that came out 40 years ago, but there is a scene where Amadeus Mozart is trying to get selected to be the tutor of the emperor's like niece or something like that. And so I think Salieri says, oh, there has to be a what do you call it? Interview process or a audition process for it. And so, so it can be fair and impartial. Because, I think Salieri was thinking, oh, the emperor's just going to give it to Mozart. And of course, he doesn't want that to happen because he's in this one-sided beef with this composer. And so, there is a point where Constance, which is Mozart's wife, brings his compositions to Salieri's house to have him look at them, I guess, to see if Mozart would be in consideration to be the tutor for this girl because they need the money. They're like broke at this point. And Salieri looks them over and he's like, oh, these are originals, these aren't copies, and there's no like, corrections or anything on them. They're like pristine, and he like kind of crashes out over it. It's honestly like the oh my god, it's like what scene is it? In American Psycho where they're looking at the business cards. It's honestly a lot like that. And he is like, so in the director's cut, he tells her to come back later. But in the theatrical cut, I think it just like goes to the next scene or she just like leaves. And so in the director's cut, there's sort of it's like a intersplice scene where, Constance takes like the hint of him telling her to come back later, and she like starts getting undressed, and he's like, he like fakes her out or something. I think he did it as kind of a sort of humiliation thing to her, which is, kind of messed up. And I think a lot of people were saying it was not, for his characterization, it wasn't in, Salieri's character to do that, which I don't know if I disagree. I mean, that man was literally having this very intense one-sided beef with Mozart. So it's like, that didn't really seem odd to me that he would do that. But also some of the scenes that got cut out from the theatrical cut is, actually showing how desperate for work and how destitute, Mozart and Constance were, where Mozart goes to this one house and he is, trying to be a music tutor for these rich people. And, there's the scene like with this man and his dogs and stuff, and he like gets frustrated and he leaves, and it kind of really goes more into Mozart's character where he feels like he's too proud to teach these, I mean, they are still rich, but like, these regular people. And it sort of goes into his, I guess, pride, where he feels like he doesn't need to be a music tutor for money. So I feel like him being like brokety broke sort of comes out of nowhere for the theatrical cut. And, for whatever reason, a lot of the stuff that I see online, most people prefer the theatrical cut over the director's cut. I don't think I do, to be completely honest. But also something that I realized, and I know I have said on many occasions that this is literally my favorite movie, but for whatever reason, this like plot point did not like catch on to me in any of the times that I've seen this movie, which has been more than 5, but less than 10. But the whole thing with the Requiem Mass, which I don't know, maybe I forgot, maybe I just forgot, because like I said, it has been a while since I've seen the movie. But the whole thing was Salieri getting in, I was going to say getting in a disguise to, commission the Requiem Mass, was that, Salieri had gotten to the point where he was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to commission this Requiem Mass from him, anonymously. And then I'm going to kill him. And then I'm going to be I actually don't know if this is like the point, but I'm going to be the one that finds him. And then I'm going to say I wrote the Requiem Mass for him, and everyone will think that I did it. And finally, I'll get some recognition for my work. But of course, Mozart ends up dying before it's finished. And he doesn't get the grand funeral that Salieri had envisioned for him. He's buried in a pauper's field. Which is true. Mozart actually was buried in a pauper's field. I don't know if he was worked to death by Salieri, but, the Requiem Mass was, I believe, unfinished. Yeah, it was unfinished. Which leads me to wonder, what is the version that we have now? Is what we have now like the unfinished version? Or did somebody actually hold on, come back and finish it? Actually, I want to know. I'm looking this up. I apologize for looking things up, but I'm looking this up. Requiem in D minor. Which also, I found a CD of the Requiem Mass at Goodwill. Let me see. Structure, history, blah, blah, blah. Don't care. Take me to the history. Okay, completion by Mozart's contemporaries. I'm just reading off of Wikipedia. Let me see. Okay, I'm not about to read this whole section because it's very long, but apparently, let me see. The eccentric Count Franz von Walsegg commissioned the Requiem from Mozart anonymously through intermediaries. Interesting. So I guess that's where they got that whole storyline from. The Count, an amateur chamber musician who routinely commissioned works by composers and passed them off as his own. Interesting. Wanted a Requiem Mass he could claim he composed to memorialize the recent passing of his wife. Mozart received only half the payment in advance, so upon his death, his widow Constance was keen to have the work completed secretly by someone else, submitted to the Count as having been completed by Mozart, and collect the final payment, because again, they were brokety broke. Joseph von Eilber, these are German/Austrian names, was one of the final composers to be asked to complete the score. He worked on the movements from the Kyrie up into the Lacrimosa, carefully adding his additions to complete the manuscript while mimicking Mozart's handwriting. In addition, a striking similarity between the openings of the Domine Jesu Christe, I'm pretty sure that's Latin, I don't know, movements in the requiems of the two composers suggest that Eilber at least looked at later sections. And then there's a thing on Wikipedia that says further explanation needed, so. After this work, he felt unable to complete the remainder and gave the manuscript back to, pop up on my computer. God, gave the manuscript back to Constance Mozart. So, and just from skimming, I guess some other people sort of completed it. Yeah. So, I know that the film / what was it, a stage play? Yeah, the stage play / film, Amadeus is fiction, but I am choosing to believe it. So, yeah, there you go. There you go. Okay. To wrap it up for today, let me have a sip. To wrap it up for today, I've been watching yet another fantastic work of episodic writing known as The Bear. I started watching last week or a couple weeks ago or something like that. It feels like somebody turned the air off. I'm not even gonna lie. It's like stuffy. Anyway, I started watching The Bear, featuring Jeremy Allen White and Ayo Edebiri. I hope I'm saying her name right. And I'm not gonna lie, I love it. And there's a few reasons why I love it. Number one, it's just a great show. It's a really good show. I like the cinematography of it. I have just finished season 2. So spoilers for the first 2 seasons of The Bear, but I think it's great. I think the writing is great. I think the cinematography is great. The acting is obviously great. There are a lot of like big guest stars in this series. Like it's kind of crazy. Um but I really like the backdrop as well, being that it is set in Chicago. And I've talked about it at length on this podcast and elsewhere, but I do really like the city of Chicago. I am, of course, going back for my birthday, and eventually I would like to move there at some point. Maybe soon, maybe not, I don't know, but at some point I would like to move there and live there permanently. Um, I think that would be the goal for me. So I like seeing all of the like city shots, like all of the exterior establishing shots of the city. I love those. I love them so much. Oh man, I just love that city. I don't know what it is about it, but I really like Chicago. Yeah. Anywho, that and a little piece of lore about me. I don't know if I ever talked about it on this podcast. I maybe did on my last one, but when I was in the 10th grade, really wanted to go to culinary school. I got really into cooking. I got really into learning, techniques about cooking. I would cook dinner, like, for my family, like, frequently. Well, not frequently, but on a few different occasions growing up. I would say I liked, or not growing up, but when I was in the 10th/11th grade, I did really like the idea of becoming like a chef. And I don't know if I was really into like having and opening my own restaurant, but I will say, being that I was still am a Sims kid, I also loved operating restaurants with The Sims 2 Open for Business expansion. That was like one of my favorite things to do. One of my favorite things to have as well. So, I was really into becoming like a chef, and, you know, I didn't really have any like chefs that I aspired to be like. I just kind of wanted to, do my own thing, I guess. I didn't really want to like emulate anyone, but I really like cooking and I really like the idea of doing it as a career. However, I was dissuaded from doing it, not because of, what I now know to be the very brutal realities of working as a chef, at any level of restaurant from hole in the wall to, Michelin star. Being a chef in a restaurant is not easy. And if the bear is at all accurate, like, it may be for the best that I didn't go to culinary school and, pursue that as a career, working in someone else's kitchen, which apparently, being a chef at a high level like that it's a very male dominated field, but I guess I sort of currently work in a male dominated field. My workplace isn't really male dominated, but the field certainly is. I'll say that much. So, I mean, that wouldn't have been exactly different, but, my dad, and to this day, I don't even really know why he said this. I mean, I could get not wanting me to be, a chef or work in a restaurant because, those are businesses that do have a tendency to fold, just being a person that lives in a city that has restaurants and seeing how some of them last for a long time, but most of them don't stick around for longer than 2 years. Especially after COVID. Oh my God, could you imagine if I was working in the restaurant industry during COVID times? Crazy, crazy town. I don't know. I don't know if I probably would have done a cute little career pivot at that point, which I don't know how long culinary school programs last for. I don't know if they're like 4-year programs or what, or like maybe 2-year certificate type of things, but chances are I probably would have been doing something around that time. So, actually, I don't know. I don't know what I would have been doing around that time if I went to culinary school. Basically, the bear sort of makes me wonder. First of all, it makes me yearn for Chicago. The yearning is like at a top level. But it also makes me wonder, like, what would my life have been like if I went to culinary school instead of film school? Like how would my life have turned out? Would it have been a good idea? Would it have been a bad idea? I don't know. There's really no way to say. I do still like cooking these days. I don't have the energy for it. because, work be working, but I do love whipping up a good meal. I will say that much, but I also do really like the restaurant experience. I want to get more into, you know, going to nicer restaurants because there is a really big difference between like an Applebee's and, a nicer restaurant, and the difference is the hospitality, you know. Um there is a big difference between, someone who's in high school or college, taking your order, just trying to get their shift over with so that they can have some money to, you know, save up to buy a car or pay their tuition, versus, people who really work in hospitality. And I've never really been to like an ultra fine dining restaurant before. I want to at some point in my life, maybe. I still want to go to a tasting menu restaurant. Definitely not in Chicago because they're going to be expensive. But if I ever do, when I end up going back to New Orleans, because I pretty much go like once a year at this point, I do want to go to one of their tasting menu restaurants down there because I didn't last time because it was too expensive. Well, actually, I mean, it wasn't too expensive. The price was not the issue. It was just the fact that, I don't know, I just didn't get the reservation for whatever reason. But the next time that I'm down there, which is hopefully when it's not hotter than heck, um, that is probably when I will do the whole tasting menu thing. They used to have a restaurant that did something like that around here, but it closed like a couple of years ago. And I really wish there was a restaurant that did something like that around here. I don't think there is. I really don't think there is. I was gonna say, oh, maybe it might be in like Madison or something like that, but no, I don't think so. Because I looked for ones around here, and aside from the one that had closed, there was none. So, oh well. I do know that there might be like, well, I don't know if they do that anymore. There was a time where they had like a tasting menu at Howlin' Mouse, and I didn't do any of that, and the tickets were only, I mean, they weren't that expensive, like, at all. I want to say it was like $50, which compared to most tasting menu restaurants is a steal, as I've come to learn. But yeah, I want to get like into the whole fine dining thing, because I don't know, I am a bit of a foodie. I mean, I've always known this about myself. I wanted to go to culinary school, so it's like, this isn't exactly surprising. But anywho, on to the actual topic at hand, The Bear. I started watching a couple of weeks ago. I really like it so far. And I will say, it was so crazy. Again, spoilers for the first 2 seasons of The Bear. I gave you like so many warnings, by the way. So if you get spoiled, that's on you. But the Christmas episode is so insane because, all throughout like the first season and, most of the second season, Michael is held up in this like almost venerated status, because the entire reason that Carmi went to like culinary school was to prove a point to his brother. His brother, who was, first of all, not even that good of a person. Okay, to be fair, from just like dialogue and stuff, it appears that Michael was already like in the throes of addiction at this point, and that does do things to you. But like, even aside from all of that, I just don't think Michael was a very good person. Like, straight up, like, I don't think he was a good person. Addiction aside, like, I think he just kind of sucked, So, and I don't know, man. Like I said, the whole reason that Carmen went off to study in Denmark at the Noma was so that he could prove to his brother that he could work at this sandwich restaurant. And it's like, well, that's a long way to go to prove a point, but sure, why not? I mean, why not? I don't know. It's very clear that this family is extremely dysfunctional, so the fact that he would do that is not exactly surprising to me. But like, and now, I've actually gotten to the end of the second season where they've actually opened the bear. And I'm not gonna lie. Carmen being stuck in the freezer for like most of the opening was kind of hilarious because, it sort of goes to show that, I don't know, the fact that they were able to hold it together without him, yeah. I don't dislike Carmi's character. I find him very endearing, especially considering his relationship with his brother, where he was apparently getting picked on like nonstop. So at that point, it's like, anyways, but him just like crashing out in the freezer. I mean, like he said, it was his own fault. He was supposed to call the fridge guy, and he didn't call the fridge guy because he's doing 11 things at once. But also, an observation that I've made, and again, I don't know how accurate the bear is to working in an actual restaurant. So, if you're watching and you've worked in a restaurant at, a kind of, I guess, a higher caliber, or really any restaurant, to be completely honest, you can let me know whether or not that's like an accurate portrayal. But I honestly feel like, especially considering I have been producing like this last week because our normal producer was on vacation, a very well-deserved vacation, but still, I had to fill in. Working in a kitchen, honestly, sounds like it's about as hectic as working with like live TV. And even though the shows that I was producing were they weren't that low stakes, because I don't know, they weren't that low stakes. Maybe they weren't that low stakes, but I honestly feel like maybe I would have been okay working at a restaurant, like in a kitchen, because even though I do straight up hate producing, and I've told everyone who will listen that I hate producing so that they know exactly how I feel while I am producing, so that there are no misunderstandings that I want to do that. I want to do my normal job. I want to make commercials, please. I like doing that. And just because I can do something doesn't exactly mean, and just because I can do something, just because I am apparently good at doing something, does not mean that I like doing the thing. But I feel like I've made myself known in my workplace, so I don't know if I'll have to worry about that exactly, but either way, I honestly feel like sometimes, especially, oh my god, the one episode, in the first season where Sydney set up the online ordering, but she accidentally turned on pre-orders. That felt like a particularly hectic day. I don't have one in particular, but one in particular in mind, but like a particularly hectic day producing. That's what that felt like, honestly. It's very fast-paced. It's very like trying to herd ducks, basically. It's what it feels like. Sometimes it can. Sometimes it's very chill and very low-key, but sometimes it's like herding ducks. Or, that's not the expression. What is the expression? Herding, hold on. Herding cats. That's what it is. It feels like herding cats sometimes. So it's like, yeah. And I did that for 2.5 months last year, and that was the longest 2.5 months of my life, probably. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, it went by really fast, but like it lasted for 7 years. Like, goodness gracious, that felt like a long time. And last week was simultaneously the shortest and longest week like ever. Like, oof. I'm so glad that our regular producer is coming back from vacation. I hope they had a very good time. I hope they had so much fun. I hope they had all of the fun. Not to say that they can't go on vacation anymore. I hope they do go on vacation some more, but like, oh Lord, that is not something that I could do very long term, because I will say, like I said, I knew how to do it, and people would say that I was good at doing it, but I don't know, that much stress, like every single day. And it wasn't really every single day, because some days, it was very chill, very low-key, not a whole lot going on. Other days it was like herding cats. I feel like there are more herding cats days than chill, low-key days, but I feel like that takes a toll on you, just like physically after a while, Like, I felt like I could feel it in my body how stressful doing that was. And I'm sure the same is for, working in a fast-paced, high-level kitchen like that, which is, I guess why they say, chefs are constantly snorting Coke and K in the back, and then going to chop vegetables. So, yeah. Is substance abuse higher among people who work in kitchens? I'm gonna look this up. I'm probably not gonna get an answer. I'm curious. Substance abuse higher in people who work at restaurants. Leave me alone. I'm not interested in AI mode. Shut up. God. Addiction in the restaurant industry, statistics and treatment, American Addiction Centers. This is not a scholar. Wait, is this a scholar? No, this isn't a scholarly article. When was this published? June 25th, 2024. So this is relatively recent. 11.8% of food service workers reported binge drinking during the last month. 19.1% of food service workers report, and I guess this is self-reporting, using illicit drugs during the last month. 17% of food service workers have been diagnosed with a substance abuse disorder. High levels of drug use and alcohol consumption in the restaurant industry can be attributed to several factors, including high stress environment, a relatively young labor pool, low wages. That's another thing to think about. Working in a restaurant, you're not going to make a lot of money. And honestly, working in TV, you're not going to make a lot of money. So there's a lot of, I feel like I like The Bear because there are really a lot of parallels between working in a restaurant and working in TV. It's kind of crazy, actually. I think that's why I like it so much. Anywho, irregular work schedules, including late night shifts, low management surveillance, work culture norms, end of shift drinks going out after work, alcohol availability in the workplace, because, you know, you work in a restaurant that maybe has a bar, peer pressure from coworkers. So yeah, I don't know if that would be higher than other, you know, careers. I don't know if there's been a study on that, comparing and contrasting drug use in certain careers versus others. I would be interested to know. But yeah, I like The Bear. I think after, I'm recording this early. Are you guys proud of me? It's 5:41. It's not 8 o'clock as I'm recording this. I think after I stop recording, I'm going to start the third season of The Bear. So yeah, and then maybe after I finish, which by the way, what, I know it's probably just, no, I don't even know. I guess it's the format, but why on earth is The Bear classified as a comedy? There are funny moments, but this is not a comedy. I was gonna say that The Bear is as much of a comedy as BoJack Horseman, but I feel like BoJack Horseman is more of a comedy than The Bear is, because I feel like BoJack Horseman has a lot more, like, you know, visual gags and, like, running jokes and stuff like that, whereas The Bear is just, like, depressing, and then there's, like, some funny moments, which I guess is just, like, life, but this is not a comedy. This is honestly a horror movie, a horror series. Like, comedy? What? I don't know. I wasn't exactly going in expecting hee ha-has, but I don't know. A comedy? Man. Anywho. And by the way, my feelings have changed on Richie. I posted on my private Instagram that I really needed Sydney to, like, pop Richie in the mouth one good time. Just one good time. Or at least, like, threaten to do it. Just, like, you know, because Richie was just getting on my very last nerve. That first season. But when Carmi sent him off, by the way, he was only there for like a week. I mean, I get he's like, I don't know, he's in his 40s. I don't know if a person can really undergo such a profound, like, attitude adjustment in 1 week. Actually, I don't know. I think it might have been more than a week, now that I think about it. Or maybe, I don't know. But him going and polishing forks for a week really, really fixed him up, apparently. Somehow. So he's a lot more tolerable now than he was in the first season. But good Lord, that man pissed me off so bad. Shout outs to the actor who portrays him, because, oh my God. Crazy. Anyway. That's good storytelling for you, I guess. It's profound, you know? It's profound. As for the other characters, I got the impression that Michael, terrible person, so, like, I I don't know. I was kind of skeptical on him from the jump, considering that not only did Michael leave Carmi this restaurant that was, drowning in debt, he did that after not letting him. Actually, okay, I think I figured it out. And this was probably spelled out at some point in the first 2 seasons, but I'm pretty sure the reason that Michael didn't let Carmi work in the restaurant was because he was drowning in debt. So therefore, he probably, even though he was not the best person, he didn't want to attach his brother to a sinking ship, even though he made Sugar the co-owner. So it's like, okay, you'll do that to one sibling but not the other. I mean, listen, I don't know. Again. But also, I feel like it's kind of weird that Fack, which is Maddie Matheson's character, is treated as like this really goofy, bumbling, comic relief. But I feel like he's like one of the few like just like actually like good, nice, he's kind of maybe doesn't really know what he's doing, but his heart is in the right place, I like his character. What can I say? I feel like if I had to pick any one of these people out to, like, I don't know, be my emergency contact, which is crazy, I feel like, I don't know how old Sydney is supposed to be. I don't know how old Iowa Devery is. I would assume maybe her character is supposed to be the same age as her, but let's see. How old is she? She's 29! Oh my god, I don't know why I said it like that. She's the same age as my brother. Well, actually not quite. But she's 29. Why did I think she was like my age? That's crazy. Well, anyway, she's 29. But I think she's supposed to be a little bit younger in the show. So, yeah. Because of that, I don't know if I want to put Sydney as my emergency contact. Because, she doesn't seem unreliable, but, like, I don't know. It's like making my younger cousin my emergency contact. I don't know if that would make sense. To me, anyways. Carmi has too much going on. Like, he can't even focus on himself, so, like, he's already out. Richie, I would not want to spend any amount of time. Season 1 Richie, no. Season 2 Richie, I'm still gonna say no, because no. Fack, maybe. I don't know. I feel like he... I don't know. Sugar, obviously, yes. She's, like, the one, like, responsible person in this, like, whole menagerie of people. Honestly, I would make Tina my emergency contact. Ibra, he proved himself to be very flaky. So, like, that's not happening. What is his name? He does the pastries. I actually would make him my emergency contact because he does seem very reliable and, like, does what he says he's gonna do. So, like, yeah. I don't know. Those are, like, the main characters, I guess. So, what a weird way to review characters in a series. Would I make them my emergency contact? Honestly, yeah, I think that's a pretty innovative way. I think I'm innovating on reviewing characters in scripted television shows. Anywho, like I said, my mom is in town. My mom isn't, I don't know what I just heard outside. I thought I heard something outside. My mom is in town, and she is in town because my younger cousin got married, and it was the first interracial wedding that I've ever been to. And also, I will say this, my cousin, she is younger than me by a few years, and just her, she, like, maybe just graduated college, and so, she's just starting out in this big wide world, and so they had what I would consider to be a very modest wedding. There weren't, like, a whole bunch of people there. It was, most of my mom's side of the family, and I guess most of her husband's side of the family, but, it wasn't, like, packed or anything like that, and it was very modest, and honestly, I would probably want to do my wedding something like that. I'm not at a threat of getting married anytime soon, so it's like, I don't know, maybe I'll be earning big dollars and I'll be able to go all out on my wedding, but I don't know, that would not be something that I would want to do, having, like, a big showy wedding. That's just not me, you know? And it probably wouldn't be my spouse either, because if we are to the point where we're getting married, we probably have a pretty good understanding of one another, where he would realize that that's not what I'm like. And honestly, from a lot of my family members, they have told me that me and this particular cousin are like personality twins. So I guess that's why I like it so much, because me and her are so alike. But you know, she had it just at, of course, I haven't been on the inside of a church in very many years, probably over a decade at this point. But at the family church, not the one where my mom got married, but it was the one where my grandma had her funeral literally 20 years ago, which I thought it was longer ago than that, but I was in the first grade when my grandma died. I thought I was like in pre-K or something. I don't know why, but my memories from that time are very jumbled up, because, you know, the whole being young thing. So I haven't been to that church in like a bajillion years, approximately 20, if we're being precise. So yeah, it was a very simple ceremony. There wasn't a huge wedding party. You know, there weren't a very long, the ceremony was like maybe 30 minutes. It wasn't very long at all, you know, and it was really nice. You know, the bride and the groom did their own little vows. My cousin wrote hers down. Her husband kind of spoke from the heart, and it was really nice. If I were the crying type, I would have been on the floor, because it was really nice. Like, I don't know, guys. Maybe I believe in love again. Maybe I believe in love again. Maybe I believe in love again. I'm just saying. That's how nice it was. Even though it wasn't like this whole big affair. You know, the reception was in the reception hall of the church. The food was catered. It was really good. I like the food. You know, they had the first dance and everything like that, but there was like no dancing. I don't know if it's, I know some denominations are like anti-dancing. I don't think my family is like that, though. I don't think that's why there was no dancing. I think that really was just, you know, probably something that my cousin wanted, because again, me and her are very like, I didn't even, I don't know why this never crossed my mind, but I didn't even know like not having dancing at your wedding was like an option. Because like, I'm not a dancer. I'm not throwing it back in a circle, in a rhombus, in a trapezoid, or any shape, you know? I never really enjoyed going to dances in like middle and high school. Like that was very not my vibe. Like it was pulling teeth to get me to go to a dance. The only dance that I actually enjoyed going to was my 6th grade formal. That was nice. I had fun. And my prom, which I was low-key kind of bored at, which was really unfortunate because we ended up spending a lot of money. I don't know why I'm saying we. It was my parents. Ended up spending a lot of money on that for me to be bored and go by myself. So, you know, dances just aren't my vibe. So like I didn't know that was an option to like not have dancing at your wedding, and not for like, you know, Quaker reasons, but for just whatever. You can do whatever you want at your wedding. Like, oh my God, you know, and everything was really nice. You know, my cousin was very beautiful in her dress. Everything was really nice. And it's like, you can have a low-key wedding, you know, a low-cost wedding that isn't like a whole production, and it can be nice. Because I feel like I've seen, you know, the whole spectrum, not really attended, but I've seen the whole spectrum of weddings. Because at my last job, I worked with this Nigerian lady, and apparently, I don't know if this is, maybe this is a new thing, a newish thing, but Nigerians go all out for their weddings. First of all, they have 2 weddings. One is like a traditional Nigerian wedding, and one is like a traditional like Christian wedding, because, you know, colonization. So, you know, they go all out for like the traditional Nigerian weddings, and they also go all out for the traditional like Christian weddings. So you're basically having 2 weddings, 2 receptions, and it's like you're spending a lot of money on this, because like she showed us like the videos from her wedding, and it's like, this is a lot. Like, this is tiring. And I've also been in a few weddings. You know, the ones that I've been in, I was a lot younger. I was a junior bridesmaid during these times. They weren't really like whole productions, because I feel like, you know, this is back, in the not late 2010s, the early 2010s. So like from 2010 to, I don't know, the last wedding that I was in was maybe 2015. I can't really remember. I don't know if like the whole thing was like a thing yet, but you know, I feel like when my other cousin got married, it wasn't really like a whole production. It was nice, but you know, there were a lot of guests and there was a ginormous wedding party. Like, I want to say my cousin had, oh my God, she had a whole lot of bridesmaids. She had so many bridesmaids. And it's like, I don't even know that many women that I would even be comfortable having in my bridal party. That's another thing. You know, I straight up, I mean, it's getting better now. I will say it's getting better now, but I just don't have that many close friends to put in my wedding. And it's like, okay, I don't have to. I don't have to have bridesmaids in my wedding. Like, that's an option. I don't have to. If I don't want to, I don't have to. So, you know, I don't have to adhere to that if I don't want to. I don't have to have dancing at my wedding if I don't want to. You know, there's also, you know, no liquor, but again, I don't know the reason for that. I wouldn't exactly have a dry wedding. I don't really feel any particular way about that. But, you know, it didn't last very long. It was from 1 to, I want to say me and my mom left around 3. No, it was closer to 4. So it wrapped up really quickly. It wasn't like a whole days long ordeal. And it was really nice. I cannot stress this enough. It was a really nice wedding. So now I've got some ideas. Of course, I don't know. Things might change between now and when I get married when I'm 40 years old. So maybe I will want to go all out when I'm older. But at this juncture, having a petite wedding like that is honestly a vibe. It was a vibe. I had a great time. It was nice seeing all of my family. And it was interesting being at a interracial wedding. It was my first. So now all I need is for someone in my family to get gay married. And I guess I could just check that off the list. Or I don't know, someone that I'm acquainted with to get gay married. Because I've never been to a gay wedding. And you know, maybe I do want to. Just to say that I did. I don't know. So it was honestly really funny. I was talking to my mom about this afterwards, but you know, because they did the traditional thing of having the bride's family on one side and the groom's family on the other side. The ceremony was low-key segregated, but you know, that was just the, you know, his family's white and her family's black. Not for long. It's about to be mixed. Now my family is mixed. So I can't even, yeah. You know, this I feel like is what Dr. King meant when he said that he had a dream. So I thought that was nice. And for an interracial wedding to be happening in Mississippi of all places. You know, I mean, it's not 1960, but I do earnestly feel like that there are still a lot of Black people who are against race mixing, which is perplexing to me, because you sound like a certain triple letter organization when you say stuff like that. So it's like, why are you against race mixing? You know, really look into yourself and question that. What's your reasoning? You know, because when I hear Black people say that, it's like, you're no better than them, you know? Like, anyway, I've been talking for too long. It's time for me to go. This has been the 50th episode, the big 50th episode of the Runnin My Mouth podcast. I've been your host, Erin. Thank you for allowing me to run my mouth. Follow me on Instagram, because if you're not following me on Instagram, you're only getting half the story. And I will say, I've been watching Drag Race. I've not been watching Untucked, but from what I've heard, I'm not missing much, so it's probably fine. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for sticking around for 50 episodes. If you have, that does mean a lot to me. You know, I don't want to get too sappy, but I do know of some people who watch the podcast regularly, and the fact that they have been sticking around for so long, it warms my cold, dead heart. So thank you very much for that. And I hope you'll stick around for the next 50. Okay, now it's time for me to go for realsies this time.